Hello everyone. So I was asked about this card, this type of card that I've been doing a few of. And so this is the front of it. But if you look at the side, it has either an M or a W you can do in this. And so it makes it into like a tent card, so it stands like on there. So it's automatically open, but it folds flat to mail. So my friend Myrna called me yesterday and she said, do you think we could do that with the Book Nook die from Create? And I based what I did kind of off this box that we did, the front here. So what you need to do this is, first of all, you need the Book Nook die, but you can do this with any die really. You just need a hole in the front. You need something that has enough space around it like this, where you can create a scene back behind. So for this one, what you're going to need to cut is, so you cut one full one like this, and then you also need to cut just one side wing in addition to that one, and then you need one of the front dies like this with the cutout in it. So then you also need whatever you're going to use for your color on the front. And then you're going to need 2 pieces of double-sided paper. I'm going to use some of the Carte Noir. You want double-sided so you have a pattern on the inside, some color on the inside. So one piece is 8.5 for this one. And then whatever size you have, like this one was a 5x7, but you would need 7.5 by 5 and 1 7x5 to do this one. It just depends on the size of your dies, but we want a little bit more room because this Book Nook front needs some space so that it all shows. So the 8x5 stays the way it is, so it's 8 by 5. The 8.5 by 5, you score at 1/2 inch, fold it under, and you're going to have adhesive on whatever side is your outside color. And then you need to take the decorative Book Nook die, which is the front or the back, and you lay that down so you got it centered where you want it. Then you take and put the cut die in there, but you want to take this one off because all you want to cut out is this shape here, which gives you the vision into the inside. So that you need to cut, and then I found that they look better with like embossing back behind. So this is the embossing folder that I use, Climbing Rose Slimline. So I cut this, cut it down to shape, and then I've started putting some decorations on it. So let's move this out of the way. Then you have another piece that is the M or the W, and it's cut for this one 4.5 by 475. You want it so that it's inside of the width of your piece, so it doesn't really show, cast, you wouldn't want it over to here. You want whatever size there, and then you need about 4 to 4.5 inches for the W shape. This one is scored on the 4.5 inch side, So it's scored at a 1/2 inch, 1 3/8, 2 1/4, 3 1/8, and 4. I'll leave this here for a second so you can get those down. So on the 4 1/2 by 475 piece, you score on the 4 1/2 inch side at a 1/2 inch, 1 3/8, 2 1/4, 3 1/8, and 4. So the reason you want to you're have a 1/2 inch on each side, and that's so it can attach to the inside of your tent. And then you want to use, you can do it, this one is, depending upon which way you look at it, it's a W or it's an M. And it doesn't really matter which, I mean, you could fold it this the other way too, but this is the way this one's folded. It's pretty heavy cardstock. So, okay, so that's, you want to do that. So then what you do, you've got your hole in the front. This is your back side, so you want to flip this over. The pattern's going the right way. I've got some tape back here. So you take off the tape, and then you're going to line this up. So then that's stuck, and it'll sit like a tent. Okay? So we've got that seam on the inside. Then you want to attach this piece in, but again, you're going to want to use the same pattern on the inside. So let's put the back piece on first. Actually, let's put this in here. And I have tape on this. So this can go underneath of that. Or you could cut the embossed piece up more so that it you have room for it. Either way, it doesn't really matter. So we're going to put this centered so you're going to be able to see it through that hole. And that's down. This has some foam behind it. There's foam here. You just want some movement back there. I'm going to have to cut this top off because it's going to be in my way. And then, so you can see through the front, there's going to be a pattern back there. And the more open this is, the more you'll see back there. So the next step is to put this down and take off the tape. And put this straight against the bottom edge. Make sure you're not going over either side. And then so you have the tape on there. Then you got to feed this down. Make sure it's going to sit okay for you. And there you go. Like that. It's going to sit. It's going to sit like that. Okay? You see how that is? This is the tab I glued down on either side, but this center is free to move. And that way. And then let's talk about this front piece. This one I've got put together already. So you have this piece, this full piece that you cut. You cut an extra door and you cut an extra side piece. So on the front of the door, just take an X-Acto knife and cut off the tabs. You can use scissors if you want, if you feel better with scissors. Remember that the steps are toward the bottom when you put this together. Then these two pieces, what happens here is you want to cut this window so that it's cut off here by this front line section here, and then right across here. You see that from the back? So it's cut off here and it's cut off here. Basically the tab is what we're taking off on the bottom, and the top we're taking off this decorative part that went into the roof of the Book Nook. Then this side over here and the second piece, what you do is cut along this line, and we're going to use this decorative piece here as the door hardware in the middle. It's this section here. So then this one, cut off the tabs, and when you have this center piece, glue the free one to the back of that center piece so you can't see that there's a cut there. You basically have, I cut the sides off so that there's like 2 window width across, and then a little bit over 2 windows. This is how much I had to cut off of the bottom. So it's 1, 2.5 windows after it was glued together. 1, 2.5. Then you glue the rest to the side like that. So this is extra, you don't need it. Those are my sample pieces, I don't need those. Get those out of the way. Then we have our card here. And see how you can see the bird cage through there? You could put, like we put the acetate on the back of this, you could, but to me it's almost too much of a glare. So what I'm going to do is figure out where I put my tape. Let's use this. So I'm putting tape on the outside edge. If you're wondering, I've been trying out Altenew tape and I kind of like it, but with it being, this is on foil, I might go back after this is done and put some glue in to hold it more firmly, because we have a lot of moving pieces here. I did put an extra piece of tape across this middle in case I decide to put like a flower or something up here, but I think there's a smaller bird cage in another. I used both the where's my tape? The greenhouse card toppers and the feather embellishments. That's most of what I've decided to use for this. But you can use any decorations and you can mix and match, and you can, like for this one, you could cut with the cut and emboss folder that does like the watering can or the pot. Because to me, this is kind of like a greenhouse. Okay. That to come off there. And then press it down and center it over that opening that you cut out, because you don't want to glue the front to the back. Okay, then it pops up, and I know the light's probably a little bit hard to see this, but it's kind of cool with the birdhouse back in there. Then I'm gonna take this chair, which is from the greenhouse. I'm gonna put that there. And then I think I want to put another, because I have ferns back in here. I think I'm gonna put another fern across here for decoration. Put some glue on this one. And in case you're wondering, it's barely art glue. It's not as temperature sensitive as art glitter glue. I like art glitter glue too, so whatever you use, be happy with it, right? Hold this down for a second. Maybe I'll put a pot there. We'll see. We'll see what I end up doing. I think I'm gonna put this flower on the outside. Up here. And then to add more dimension to it, I recommend that you take similar flowers and put them back here. Rotate it this way, and I would put a foam dot right here, and put that right there. Like that. And then I think I'll save this corner for whatever sentiment I use. But that's basically how you get, so you've got some flat against the back, you have some popped up in the back, you have a flower on the inside of the front, flowers on the outside of the front, decoration down here, but you do want a sentiment on it. So, and then it'll sit up flat. It's what it looks like from the outside. And then on the back, you can put, you know, your sentiment, whatever message you're gonna write, and like, with love to Myrna. So here we go. If you have any questions, let me know. Bye. Okay, so I did change this because I decided that I couldn't see in as much as I wanted to the back. So I took out these doors. So if you want it to look like this, you do not need to cut the extra doors. And I think it looks better like this, where you can really see back in behind. The doors are almost too much going on. And then I wanted to share with you that I used the fern dies on it. And also that if you don't have the Book Nook dies, and maybe you have the slimline door dies, you could do a similar door to it. There's the this is really old. The window, you could do that same thing, just cut the doors out so you can see back and behind, and do it onto a flat surface. Or this one was the window box. That would work also, and it also has some nice things that you could cut out to do with it. But basically, you can do it with anything that's going to have a big enough hole in the middle that you can see the back side. And again, then you do the M or the W. I put a watering can in there in the middle, so you have dimension that way. Hope that helps.